Welcome to the Integrative Duo podcast. You're here with Kat and Bec. We're sisters with very unique paths, wanting to explore all things holistic living, self-development and consciousness with you.
We're joining forces to help support and inspire others to lessen the chemical load, eat more whole foods, become more conscious of their thoughts and beliefs, plus so much more.
Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast. We are so excited to chat to you today, and Kat has thought of some questions and I have no idea what she's about to ask me really, so we're just going to jump into today's topic.
Yeah, well, I thought leading into 2022, what would be some helpful tips, especially for us and for our listeners, leading into a new year? For those that don't know, Bec has done a lot of coaching in metaphysics, manifestation, affirmations, and I thought she would be the perfect person to pick the brains of. So I have a couple of questions just leading into, as I said, 2022. A lot of us would like to reevaluate the direction that we're going in, set our intentions for the new year, and maybe new goals, working out if we want to, stay in the job we're in. It's a career that we're focusing on really what we want, study, relationship, personal lives. And a great way that I've been told to do this is through manifesting. But for those of you that at home that don't know what manifesting is, wondering if you could maybe touch on exactly what it is.
So obviously manifesting became really popular when The Secret came out, the book, and then they made a movie. And that was how many years ago? And I remember Mum actually buying it or getting it for a gift and having it. I wasn't into it at that stage. I hadn't had my experiences spiritually, health-wise, not at that stage anyway. But manifesting is pretty well being able to have a desire, or maybe not even a desire, but from thought to thing. So being able to think of something and have that within you in some sense, and being able to see it come into fruition in your life, so in a tangible way. I guess the thing is with manifesting, and people don't really get it in one sense because they're always manifesting. And I'm probably going to go a little bit deep on this topic because I tend to, but I love that. I feel like you need to go deep with this sort of stuff to really grasp it, and then you can probably listen or watch this podcast again and get more from it. So manifesting, you're using the law of attraction, which is similar to the law of gravity. It's a universal law. Obviously, it's not about gravity. It's about attracting. Like attracts like. So if you are feeling whatever you're feeling, you're going to attract more of that. So going into the new year, the best way of really approaching this is to figure out how you're feeling relative to what's going on in your life, and perhaps change whatever isn't, lighting you up. But you want to be able to change how you're feeling in order to see the manifestation come into fruition. The thing I want to mention though that people don't get is that you're always manifesting all the time, whether you realize it or not. But if you are more aware of your thoughts, you have more chance of creating things you actually want. You have more control in a sense. So I guess in saying all of that as well, we have this awareness about us. So we say consciousness. I also like to say the word light or awareness in replacement of consciousness. And that's just everything you're aware of in this moment. Or just the memories that you're aware of, your thoughts right now, what you see. Your subconscious is things you are not aware of in this moment. But that can be even memories from childhood, but you have just blocked them out. They're still there somewhere, right? And the thing is with law of attraction manifesting, you're manifesting from the subconscious and the conscious. So let's say you keep getting a fine. You keep getting fines come in and you're like, why? I'm feeling abundant. I feel really, really abundant and I feel rich. Why am I getting all these fines? Obviously, something is going on within you that you're not aware of. There's a deeper belief going on. Maybe you have parents that would always talk about how money doesn't grow on trees, or you got to work really hard for your money, or money's hard to come by, or just things, and it's kind of deep within you. Until you are very aware of that, and that takes a lot of presence, so like meditation, journaling, just being aware of your thoughts and what your beliefs and everything, until you're aware of that, you can't actually change it. So that was probably a really long answer, but it's a really big topic. Going into 2022, being aware of how you actually feel about the things in your life. So perhaps you have desires, you want to achieve this, this, and this, and like goals, which is great, and you're always going to have desires and goals, and just that's a part of your expansion as a person, as a being. But you need to ask yourself, how do you feel on a deep level? Do you feel like you can actually have that in your life? Do you feel worthy of that? Do you feel like that's probably going to happen, that's most likely going to happen? Or do you have a block towards it? Because if you have a block towards it, you just got to work on that. Kind of reassure yourself of how easy it is for you to actually experience that. How you are worthy of that thing happening for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does make sense. I have a couple of questions there, especially for those new to manifesting. So you're talking about journaling and trying to reassure yourself, say that you are worthy of achieving that goal.
Yeah.
How would we journal, and what would be the benefits of journaling? And then would you say that affirmations would be the way to reassure yourself, or how do you reassure yourself?
So affirmations are really great. However, it doesn't help if you, let's say, you feel really, and we're talking about the money thing because that's a big topic anyway, but I already referenced that. If you feel really broke, let's say, you've just got this massive fine, you feel really broke, there's no money, and then you're trying to tell yourself you're rich, and it's not genuine. Like, I'm rich. Like, that's not coming from a genuine place. Even though it may help to a degree, you're probably not going to get to where you want to get in sort of aligning to actually feeling rich, because you're not generating that feeling. So what I would say is journaling your thoughts and your feelings out, really sort of analyzing them and affirming things that feel good. Don't say things that you don't actually believe. I don't really agree with that, because I don't think you're actually going to get a lot of benefit, and if you do, it'll take a very long time, because it's going to momentum has to build. So if you can find a saying that actually you believe in the moment and affirm to yourself, I might not have the money today, but I know that everything always works out. And maybe that feels a bit nicer for you in the moment, then go with that affirmation.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. And then, so the journaling, going into 2022, I've never picked up a journal with manifesting or affirmations. What do I do? How do I do it?
Well, that's the thing. I don't journal very often either, but I love to write, but for some reason I don't journal as much as I probably should. Journaling is a good tool, but if you don't feel called to doing it, I never like pushing people to do things they're not called to do. But if you are, journal the things you would love to experience in 2022. Maybe reassess the things that aren't lighting you up and see if you can take inventory there. See if there's anything you can change. But if you want to, let's say, manifest something in your life, look at the top things. People want relationships. They want a good job. They want the money. They want the health. Whatever it is, right? They're like the big things. And that's the thing. Until they feel like big things to you, you're most likely not going to get them in very quick, if that makes any sense. They have to feel so achievable to you. You have to be so convinced. So going into 2022, ask yourself, what desires would I like to experience? What would you want from this year? Do you want a different job? And then journal, write them down, write how you feel about them, or just reflect on how you actually feel about that. Do you feel worthy? Do you feel deserving? Can you imagine yourself in that new job? Can you be specific? Can you see yourself driving that new car that you really, really want? And if you can't see it yet, you're not in complete alignment, but don't worry about that too much. You just keep trying to convince yourself how possible it is for you to have that experience.
And how often should we be thinking about these thoughts? So we've started the new year, we've either journaled or we've thought about what we would really like. How often should we be thinking about this? Should we be programming ourselves to go, okay, in the morning I'm going to do this at 6 o'clock every day? Or for busy people, do we go, okay, when you've got some spare time in a line, do we start thinking about this? How often do you think people should be trying to visualize what they want to achieve?
Yeah, well, visualize is a really good word. So if you are a very visual person, even if you're not, if you can close your eyes and visualize your experience actually happening and trying to convince and reprogram yourself, amazing. So write that down. Even if you don't want to journal things, or if you want to journal things and add this tool to it, visualizing is probably the most beneficial thing you can do. But how often? Well, I want to say that people need to be present in the moment, as well as obviously spending time convincing themselves and I guess really feeling into that manifestation. So I want you to be present as much as you can in your everyday life. However, if you can dedicate a few minutes a day or more, or remind yourself, have an alarm on your clock on your phone to say, visualize the car, or just have a sort of routine with yourself, and then it just comes second nature. But I won't say to always be living in this visualization. You want to be present, but you'll get to a point where you've done it and it's just second nature to you now, and you know that that car's coming, or that money's coming, or that relationship's around the corner. The thing that gets people caught up in this is we humans and our logical mind want to know when and how and what. And that's where we'll get caught up. I have too. I'm not perfect in any sense, right? Well, I guess we all are perfect, but like we are all human, right? So the what, the how, and the when is what you have to let go of. And it's so hard sometimes when we're caught in this programming of we need to know what and how it's all going to unfold, so we can prepare ourselves, our ego can get ready, or we can protect ourselves in any form. That's all a head thing. We're not working from that space. When we're letting go and we're being in alignment with our manifestations or our desires, let's say, that's complete trust and faith. And you have to let go and let the universe, source, God, whatever word you want to refer to, because I believe they're all interchangeable personally. You need to let go and just know that it's going to happen. There's so many times where I have done that and it happens and you're like, wow, that's actually unfolded. I've got some really cool stories, whether it's been whether it's been a relationship and that's just come about, and they tick all the boxes in my crazy list, or whether it is the money to pay anything that I needed, but it is like a specific amount, or whether it is silly little things like someone giving you flowers. There's so many things that I have manifested, but you never know how it's going to unfold really, and you need to let that go. So if you are practicing getting into alignment, you're doing the right things, you're convincing yourself, you're feeling how abundant you are, you feel really loved, and so you know that you're attracting that love because you're feeling loved. Maybe your block is you're trying to work out how it's happening and when, and you're restricting yourself. Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely makes sense. I have a question on the blockage. So you touched on it earlier, and you said that perhaps subconsciously you're blocking because of past traumas, memories, or you're not quite in alignment.
Yeah.
And then also the blockage could be the who, what, when, how, wanting to be specific.
Yeah.
How do we clear those blockages? What do we need to do?
That's a good question. So I want to actually get a couple of really great teachers and experts talking about this, but my biggest recommendation is shadow work, inner child work, shadow work, and that is essentially feeling how you're feeling deep down or on a deeper level. If you are feeling, let's go back to the financial stuff. If you're feeling really broke deep down and you don't think that you're going to be a multi-millionaire, maybe that's too high of a reach for you in the moment, it's too big of a jump in your alignment scale. But if you have this block within you, this belief that's stopping you, you need to explore that. You need to be able to comfort yourself, reassure yourself. You need to be able to find a technique that works for you. So whether that is like inner child meditations, shadow work, which essentially means just feeling how you're feeling and not pushing those feelings away. So there's a lot of people in the self-help community talking about manifesting, law of attraction, and they're great, but they'll also say, don't think a negative thought because you're just going to create more negative thoughts. However, I do believe, and a lot of other people also believe, that you need to actually let go of your stuff you're holding on to. It's like luggage. You're holding on to the luggage. You need to let go of it. And in that moment, you may feel really hurt. You may feel that stuff come up. And you need to allow that to happen. To keep suppressing it and pushing it aside out of fear is not going to be the answer either. So if you do realize you've got blocks, and most likely you do, it's either divine timing or you're blocking yourself, and both are fine. But you need to just reassess. Maybe if you're a pen and paper type of person, write down how you actually are feeling about this desire that you want, because we have like vibrational energy about everything. We have beliefs and vibrations towards everything, deep down about our financial status, our health status, relationship status. So we need to ask ourselves, what are we vibrating in that status? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm hoping I'm
that was going to be my next question.
I'm a rambler, guys.
No. This is really interesting, especially for me who's new on this journey, but I understand the concept of the vibrations that we put out into the world. And like you said, when you were talking about putting out your affirmations, what you want to manifest, my thought went to, but shouldn't we only put positives out there? Because if we put negatives out there, we're going to get negatives. So you're saying that it's okay to feel the negatives because deep down they're there, and those are the feelings and the thoughts that we do have, and we need to express them and we need to get them out.
Yeah.
But then do we need to move on?
We do.
Is that what we need to do?
We need to be able to move on. And some people get stuck there. That's probably something I've had to work on in my own personal journey, is being able to know when to move on from feeling those feelings. But there's no right or wrong answer with that either. Like healing, because that is healing. To feel a feeling and to let that go and let that come up instead of suppressing that is healing on so many levels. That will help your body, just on physical level, everything. But healing isn't linear. So there's no right or wrong answer to, or time frame to say, oh, okay, stop feeling that now. But you may want to give yourself a few moments or an hour to cry or whatever it is and see if that works for you. But you may feel that feeling come up again at a later date, and you've got to be okay with that. We can't keep having this suppression mentality because it's not healthy. Even on just like the mental health of the world, that's not healthy to keep putting that aside. So no, you don't need to think positive thoughts 24/7. Because there's a part of you not feeling positive, and you need to be authentic and let that come up.
Mm-hmm. Would you say, I know you said there's no time frame, but if we're feeling maybe more of the negative and perhaps maybe more of the fear-based, I'm thinking, should there be like a time frame if you feel that you're experiencing these thoughts more than the positive? Is there a way of trying to, put out more positive to counteract the negative? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, if you're stuck in a loop of feeling negative thoughts, because if we keep thinking the same thoughts, we're going to keep thinking the same thoughts. So perhaps you're in like this place where you're thinking the same stuff, and it's like an autopilot mode, and you're not actually being conscious and aware of your thoughts. What I was really referring to is you having a dedicated time, or you allowing yourself to just feel however you're feeling, and not be that victim completely. Allow yourself that space, but you don't start to then keep those thoughts going 24/7, because that would be dwelling too much. But you may not need 5 minutes, you may not need two minutes, or you may need a day or two. Everyone's so different with how it will come up for you and what is coming up. So I've lost my train of thought.
That's good. No, that's good. Could you touch on a little bit more about the positive energy and the positive vibes that you put out there? I'd like to just delve into that a little bit more and how you feel that works.
So like I was saying briefly, because we could talk, like, there's so many books on this topic. There's so many videos, teachers on this topic. We can talk for hours and hours, and maybe we will. I don't know, but not today. So positive energy. Positive, we're in this dualistic world, positive and negative, up and down. Positive means obviously positive. It's a higher sort of frequency. So like I was saying, our bodies, everything we see is all energy, and energy contains frequencies. So those frequencies can be measured. They can be on the lower scale, higher scale, and they also can measure emotions and feelings. So, which is kind of cool. So you can you could feel really, really loved. You can have this immense love within you and vibrate at that frequency, and it's really dominant. When someone walks in to the house or to the room or whatever, and they look like they're just lighting up, you're like, wow, okay, they're vital and they're really in their essence. Their frequency is probably going to be up there, right? Their dominant frequency. So if we are able to be in a place authentically where we feel good, where we are lighting up, and we're able to stay in that space, even just for a few moments, right? To start to build that momentum, we then start to create momentum in manifesting the desire. So let's say the desire is over here, and then you're over here, but you want to create more momentum to get it closer to you. You need to be able to stay in that space, right? But you don't know how long it's going to take. Everyone's going to be different. And usually that can be, like, the time frame can change for everyone of how long it will take to actually have it come up. A lot of teachers call that the buffer of time between thought and thing. So there's like a buffer of time for people. Because let's say if you thought lion and a lion just appeared, that's not practical for our reality, no. Right? So we're kind of good in one way to, it's kind of good in one way to have that buffer of time. So I can not think heaps of lions and lions appear. However, if we really, really thought that a lion was going to appear and we had no resistance and it was practical, we believed it, yeah, okay, there's a chance that it's going to appear. Anyway,
or someone might give you a lion chocolate
bar,
or
and
you'd be like, oh, okay, not quite what I maybe meant, but thanks for the chocolate.
Exactly. So there is that buffer of time between thought and thing, which I really love, but it will vary depending on what you're manifesting, your level of resistance and fear around it, if you've got any, and you and your overall energy. So it's going to vary. Like, there's times where I will think something and it will appear that day or a few minutes later and you're like, wow, that's amazing. Other times it takes a lot different, like time frame wise, it takes a lot longer.
Okay. I like that. And so your positive thoughts and positive frequencies, yes, you can definitely feel those people when you walk into the room and they just have something about them. And on the flip side, those with very, I suppose, negative energies, when you walk into a room, you can also pick up on that and go, okay, well, that's quite high tension, or I don't know if I want to be around that.
Yeah, but it's hard in one sense because you obviously want to not support people in suppressing their feelings, and so you don't want to add shame onto people for feeling how they're feeling. Mm-hmm. However, if you can feel your feelings, let them come up in a conscious manner, in an intentional manner, then you're going to not dwell in it like a lot of people, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So you need to be able to give yourself some time frames and then build your energy back up. And a lovely spiritual teacher that I hope I'm going to manifest on our podcast one day, Teal Swan. So if you don't know her, go look at her stuff on YouTube. She's amazing. But I've really loved a lot of her stuff over the years. And she talks about raising your frequency, raising your vibration. So if you are in this dwelling sort of mode at the moment, and no judgment, we all get like that. I get like that too. We all are like that sometimes.
It's human nature.
It's human nature to have those dips and dives. But if you're stuck in that moment right now and you're like, oh, okay, well, I got to be a bit more intentional because I'm obviously just thinking these thoughts on autopilot. They're not really going to serve me too much in creating what I want. Start to raise your energy up, raise your vibration up, so you're on that higher scale. And Till talks about this technique of just doing little things. So look at it as a ladder, climbing the frequency ladder, I like to call it. So you want to take steps. You don't want to jump, right? Because it's not really safe and practical. So you want to take steps. So ask yourself, she does this technique and I love it. Close your eyes, put your hand on your heart and ask yourself, what can I do right now that's going to make me feel a bit better right now or a bit happier right now? You know, and that might be having a cup of tea. That might be going for a walk. You're looking for little things. It's a step. And then after you do that thing, ask yourself again. And you're stepping up. You know, and after a few steps, you might feel, you know, like you're just vibrating high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got the ladder stepping up. Yes, if we take too big a leap, it's not safe and it's dangerous and we could fall hard.
Yeah. Metaphorically.
Metaphorically. I had a question that I wanted to ask that I've been holding on to. So we're going into 2022. For us, some of us, especially right now where we are in Australia, there's a lot of fear that could be going into 2022 with what's happening around the country and I suppose what's happening around the world. And so we've talked about lifting the vibrations, manifesting what we would like to see and what we would like to achieve and believe. Do you have any other tips on how we can, I suppose, combat that fear and maybe remove some of the what am I thinking of? Some of the triggers.
Yeah, it is hard because if you look at the collective, you know, energy right now, and when I say collective energy, like we're all connected, we're all energy. So we're all connected on a bigger scale. And so we all can really touch into that collective energy if we allow ourselves to. It's not like I'm any more special and able to do this than you are. So anyway, I digress. But collective energy, if you really feel into that, you can feel the fear. You can feel the people getting triggered. You can feel the duality. But it's also good in one sense because people are also waking up to what's important to them, what they want from life, what their real values and morals are, so there is some good in that. But the people that are really struggling with fear right now, I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to not feel it. Don't feel the fear. No, that's not me. I don't believe that's healthy because you're going to get into that feedback loop of suppressing it all the time, like we're talking about. So what I would say is you need to be able to feel the anxiety, feel the fear in any way you can, obviously in a safe way. You want to be able to express that, let it out, find a healthy way to do that, and then see what you can do and move up the scale again.
So like maybe then if you're feeling the fear, okay, I'm getting it now, hand on heart, Teal Swan said, and then go, what can I do in this moment to make me feel better? So try and get up, feel it, and then what can I do about it?
So first I would go, all right, I need to give myself some, perhaps first is to ask yourself with the shadow, this is called shadow work, right? To ask yourself, what am I actually feeling? What fears do I have? Perhaps write that down if you want. And then you need to be able to feel it. So sink into your body, relax yourself, sink into your body and let that emotion come up. So maybe you'll start crying, or maybe you won't, and maybe you just feel anger, or maybe you feel sensations in your body. And then sit with that for a little bit, right? Maybe that's only a few minutes, half an hour, whatever time frame you want to give yourself for that moment. And then you want to raise yourself up on the scale. So yeah, when it comes to manifesting, depends on what you're trying to manifest. Like I said, we've got frequencies relative to everything within us. And we don't know sometimes because they're so deep within us and we're not being that aware of what we're putting out there. like I said before about someone getting a fine all the time but thinking they're rich. And so why are you attracting that all the time if you're really rich and abundant, and they're getting confused? So that's happened before with people. I probably went through that before. So everyone kind of has that experiences where they are confused. Why is this recurring thing keep happening to me when I feel abundant or I feel loved? So why is that happening? Or, it's because there's something deeper going on that you've got to look into.
Okay. All right. That's good. I like what you touched on, and especially, like I said, we don't want to suppress, we'll say, feelings of fear moving forth, fearing about the job, fearing about the health, fearing about the state of the world, and looking at what we can do right now for ourselves and what our thought processes are and what we can do to either change it or unblock.
Yeah. Do you know what I've realised about myself, I think today when I was driving, is that I feel like I was blocking you in a sense, or putting out energy that wasn't serving you a couple of times. So Kat's in this space in her life, and she's kind of just living in the moment with what's occurring in her life, but I'm feeling anxious for her future, and that's not helping. Why am I doing that? Why am I putting that onto her? Because she's in the moment, trusting, and so that's a perfect space of alignment to be in, with whatever she's letting go and surrendering to. So sorry about that, but I realized when I was driving today that that didn't obviously serve her well, and I'm glad I picked up on that now, because I could still bring those things up and I can still say those comments which won't serve her at all, and is going to be harder for her to keep that alignment. Yeah. Anyway, I've realized that today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think this is a good point to go for me to pick your brain and say, heading into the start of 2022, have you got any other words or wise words that you could pass on to our listeners on how to start the new year?
Ask yourself what you want from the year. Because, and it's not wrong to have desires. I don't know why anyone ever installed that belief in anyone. It's good to have desires. You're always going to have desires because you're always going to be evolving as a being, and that means you're going to be reaching for more. So completely fine, and I love that. So ask yourself what you want from this year. Write it down. Make a list if you're a list person. And Kat's a list person.
I just raised my hand then. Yeah. I'm a list person. I love the thrill of just ticking something off a list.
You know when I'm a bit crazy in my schedule when I have to write a billion lists, because I don't technically, I don't do it all the time, but I do when I really need to. So anyway, write a list of what you actually want from the year, and perhaps it isn't even this year. Perhaps it's just in general. What do you want from your life? And then see and feel into those things. Let's say it's a relationship, right? Because that's a big one for a lot of people. They want to find someone that really lights them up and they can get along with and have this life partner with, right? Beautiful experience. Feel into that. Is there any part of you that holds a resistance? Perhaps the thoughts are, it's not going to happen for me, or I'm not good enough, or men are really hard to find, or women are really hard to find. Women are only cause me trouble, or perhaps you have these beliefs. Also write that down and see if you can feel into that. See if you can reassure yourself that. See if you can let that luggage go.
Do you recommend burning it to let it go? That's my first thought. I don't know. I've never burnt a list, but
that's a good ritual.
burn the fears.
Well, that's a really good one. I think I touched on that in one of our podcasts, but it was pretty well writing down all the things that you're thinking, and so perhaps it is all your fears, and don't read it back, perhaps, and just burn it. That's a really great technique, but perhaps you need to feel into what's going on as well. So allow that to happen. So write a list. Feel into any resistance going on. Let go of the baggage as much as you can. Raise yourself up. And you may need to do this a few times. It may come up again. You may need to readdress this every day. But a good way to help, we're talking about visualizing. So I loved, it was an interview I saw of someone. It was a really great analogy. And it might have even been one of Till Swan's, actually, because I love listening to her talk about things. She articulates everything so well. And someone was saying that they're trying to manifest this new car. And so to visualize them driving the car, but in their visualization to make it realistic, to trick the brain. So obviously they're in America, and the visualization was driving the car and to feel the leather seats. So you can smell the air freshener, the scent in the car and everything, but looked outside the window and could see a food truck or something, and that's not anything to do with the manifestation, but it tricks the brain to making it feel more believable, because it's believable to have a food truck right outside. So you can trick your brain and think, that's practical, that's believable. So it installs extra belief in you. Yeah. So that's a kind of handy tool to do, to spend a few moments every day in your visualization and really believing it's happening.
Okay.
And let it go then. Let the universe, source, God, bring it to you in however way. You got to keep your eyes open. There's so many ways that it can pop up. One last thing I'm going to touch on. So if you're really new to manifesting and don't know where to start and want to kind of start experimenting with how powerful and infinite you are at doing this, and like this beautiful manifesting being you are, is to ask for things, ask the universe, God, whoever, ask for stuff that you don't care if it shows up or not. I got people to do this in my metaphysics course. We did a whole module on positive focus and manifestations, and I loved that module because it's so much fun, clearly. And so ask for things you don't care if it shows up, because if you don't care if it shows up, you've got less resistance. If you need the money right now and you're desperate, that's a lot of resistance. So you're blocking it, right? So for example, perhaps you want someone to buy you a coffee, or you want that pink feather, or I don't know, something random that you don't care if it shows up, and then watch it show up. Keep your eyes open and it will come in different forms, different ways it will just show up. And then you start to realize, I get how to do this. I ask and it comes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Kat, you can try doing that now.
Will someone buy me a coffee? Will someone buy me a coffee? Okay.
Or just think of anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
All
so I think that's a lot to take in. I sorry if I ramble too much for people, but that's just how I work. But it's go back and listen to it all again, or write notes down for yourself if you took anything, nuggets of gold from this episode.
I think it's a good way to start 2022.
Yeah.
And I think if we all go in with an attitude of how we can try and make it better this year and how better it can serve us, then that will be good.
Yeah, just realize that you have the ability to create whatever you want for your life, and to reaffirm that to yourself. Once you realize that you are this beautiful, energetic being, that you're infinite, quantum physics, like you really look into all of that sort of stuff, you realize how powerful you are as a being, and then you go, whatever I want, or if I have a desire about something, then that's obviously got purpose, surely. Obviously within reason. You don't want to be out there harming anyone. That's truly not what I'm encouraging, or doing anything harmful in any sense. But if you have a genuine desire about something, I believe that serves a purpose, so you need to follow that desire. But just reaffirm to yourself how powerful you are in creating the life that you want.
I think they're great words to end on. So thank you so much for letting me pick your brain on this, Bec. And I hope our listeners got some nuggets of gold out of it.
Yeah, I hope so too. It might be one to replay again. But I hope everyone gets something good out of this.
Excellent. All right, well, we'll see you all next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. It will really help support this channel and share this message. By all means, go over to our social media platforms and let us know what you'd like to hear more of. All of our links will be in the show notes and things we've discussed today in the episode. We'll talk to you next week.